Blaine Fowler's opinion now on Ty Detmer being relieved of his duties as offensive coordinator. Pretty wild to see an OC go after 2 years at BYU.
Yeah, especially at BYU, because at BYU, you go out. Remember, there was a complete philosophical change in offensive philosophy. And so when this group came in on offense, it was like, okay, we need to go to a ball control, a la Stanford, Wisconsin type of a offense. We need to kind of philosophically change the kind of linemen. We need to get pro-style drop-back quarterbacks, not the kind that Robert and I recruited to run the go fast, go hard, spread option type. So you go into any other school and you go, okay, in a couple years, their guys should be juniors or redshirt sophomores, and now they should be able to run the system. But at BYU, you go recruit kids for your offense. They all go on missions, and then it takes longer. And so you would think you have to have more patience at BYU. But, I mean, you look at, is Ty coaching one single kid that he recruited right now, this last 2 years?
I don't think there was a freshman out of high school that
I don't think he's coached a single player that he's recruited in his offense. And so that's what surprised me. I thought at BYU you get maybe a little longer, and I think they needed to do some things to change some things up. So, perhaps because remember, this is the year in January where the NCAA allows you to add another coach. Do you reassign some people to do different things? Do you bring we call him a gray hair, but a veteran person in to help with the offense and make him a co-coordinator? I mean, I think there were a lot of options to change things up, to kind of oversee things, to bring someone with more experience in, to kind of manage this. So I was surprised. I was very surprised. And you know what? We won't know if it's a good decision until later on. I think if the person that comes in as the OC wants to go a completely different direction, because now they've just recruited 2 years to this offense, then you start running into the University of Utah School of Offensive Thinking, where Kyle Whittingham how many offensive coordinators has he had?
I believe it's 78.
So, and you want to know what? They have not been good on offense since Urban Meyer left. Period. And I attribute it to, you can't change offensive coordinators every couple years. Now, I'm not saying that that's the path that BYU's going down.
But you're afraid it's
But I worry that if you don't go in a similar direction where you go, no, we're going to go the spread now. Well, they just stopped recruiting the kind of, a different kind of quarterback because they want to get back to a drop-back game, which, by the way, my personal opinion is that we need to be more like Stanford and Wisconsin, because what I think we can recruit consistently over time is drop-back quarterbacks, really, really quality tight ends, big offensive linemen that can dominate line of scrimmage. We can get good physical running backs, but I don't know that we can consistently stock our cupboard with wide receivers to run four wides. Gary Croton tried that, and we really, really struggled.
Worked for 1 year.
Right, so we really struggled. So I don't know that that's the answer. I think that the philosophical change they were making is a good fit for BYU because of what they can recruit. And so whoever comes in here, if they divert from what they recruited to the last couple of years and do something completely different, it's like you're starting all over again with recruiting. So we'll see.
What we do know, according to the release yesterday, was that whoever is hired will have to make the decision on what remaining staff stays. So there is a possibility that whoever the OC is comes in and says, hey, Detmer, would you like to stay in this capacity? So I guess if you were Detmer, if asked to stay, would you stay?
See, I don't know. If I was the new OC, I would want Ty to stay. And the reason I would want him to stay is, first of all, he's a great football mind. Second of all, he's one of the best recruiters BYU has. When he walks into a home, he's got credibility immediately, and he wins parents over. And if you don't have Ty Detmer at all, do you keep either of the two highly touted quarterback recruits that we have in the pipeline right now? I don't know, because
I think no on one of them for sure.
Yeah, and I was listening or reading.
I hope he still comes.
I was reading Kalen Hall's comments yesterday, and it was like his son, who's coming off a mission, he basically said he was coming to BYU because he wanted to play quarterback for Ty Detmer. And so you got,
even though he had committed pre-diet.
Right, but it's like, this is the guy, man, this is what we want. Dinkelman for sure, that's at risk now, and he's a phenomenal player, because that's a kid that was offered by LSU a long time ago. So he can go where he wants to go. I think if he put it out there and said, hey, my uncle's not there anymore, so I'm who wants me? Oh, he'll find a place, right? And is it McKee out of
Correct.
Out of California, right? Out of California. So these guys are coming to play, and part of the lure is Ty Detmer. So if I'm the OC, and Ty has no ego. So I think Ty, if he wants to stay, Ty would step back and say, "Hey, let's do this thing together."
But he would be the highest paid quarterback coach in the country.
I don't know if that's what he wants to do, right? So if I was the OC and I could convince him to do it, I'd want him to do it for recruiting purposes and have another really good mind, because I don't think Ty's the kind of guy that's going to be vindictive and would try to undermine what you're doing. That's just not who he is. I mean, we all know him. He's not that kind of guy.
It's amazing that he has no ego.
I don't know that Ty wants to do that. I think they had to do a lot of convincing to get him to come in the first place. He was perfectly comfortable on his ranch.
He didn't need to do.
Bronco tried to get him to come to be the quarterback coach multiple times.
But he was only going to come if he was the OC, is my understanding.
Right, and so he never came.
Yeah.
So now on the back end of this, is it really what he wants to do? I know that he and Kim love being here. I know that the girls love being here.
Some of his daughters are in college.
Right, so they like the environment, and maybe that's enough draw. Now that they're kind of out of Austin and up here, is that enough where somebody could convince him to stay? I don't know the answer. I haven't talked to Ty since yesterday. I'll try to catch up with him sometime this week, but I haven't talked to him, so I don't know what he's feeling or how he's going with this. But that would be interesting. Certainly couldn't hurt to have former Heisman Trophy winner still on your staff and recruiting, right? As long as his ego's in check enough that the OC that comes in can do what he wants to do and not feel like he's being undermined. And any of us that know Ty Detmer, if Ty says, "Yeah, I'll stay," if he says he's in, the guy's in. It's just because there's no guile in the guy and there's no ego in the guy. If he doesn't feel like he can do that, he'll just go, "No, I'm out." I mean, that's how much I trust the character of Ty Detmer. So it'll be interesting. If he decides to stay, we can be assured that he's going to play a role and contribute and not undermine the OC. If he decides to go, that'll mean that he's going to say himself, "No, I don't think I can do this. I don't want to do it."
Yeah. Blaine Fowler is on BYU Sports Nation. You can watch Blaine and the guys on After Further Review tonight, the season finale of the show at 7 Eastern time. Now we push forward to the new offensive coordinator. What type of offense and or play calling style are you thinking would be successful for BYU at this point? Because and I want to start with this. The last two times BYU's tried to install a pro-style offense, it just hasn't worked. Brandon Doman had 2 years to do it, didn't work. Ty Detmer's had 2 years to do it, didn't work. Yet I know that you feel strongly that the pro-style would work here.
Well, but remember that Max Hall's offense with Dennis Pitta and Andrew George, it was a pro-style offense. That wasn't go fast, go hard the first time with Robert and I.
Yeah.
That was, hey, wait a minute. We got 2 NFL tight ends. Let's run a ball control pass game. Well, they also happen to have Austin Collie. So the kind of offense you run, I think the BYU can recruit to a pro-style offense. I think that fits what they can recruit. But when you have players, you're good. When you don't have players, you're not good. When Max Hall is playing quarterback and Austin Collie's playing wide receiver and Dennis Pitta is at tight end and Andrew George is at the other tight end, you're a really good offensive coordinator.
So is it
My mom's a good offensive coordinator when those 4 guys are on the offense.
I know your mom, and she is a good
do a really good job.
Now,
yes.
Understand, my mom knows football way better than
Is
a lot
your
of
mom
people.
applying for this position?
I'm not supposed to release that information.
We should play he or
but
she.
now that you brought it up, my mom is applying for the
So are you inferring that maybe this season was less about scheme and more about personnel at this point?
Well, I think they felt like they had the personnel to run a 2 and 3 tight end offense. They spent the whole spring and all summer doing that. Then they lost Moroni. Then they lost Baldry. Then they lost Hunter. Then they
and Tukuafu
and they thought Tukuafu was going to be released, and Matt never released him. And so now they were like, okay, Bushman. Now they thought Bushman was going to be good because he was really good in spring ball. But I don't think they had plans that this guy has to be the entire feature guy of the offense as a freshman. And so, yeah, right? So they built an offense around that, and they were going to be under center. And then they get their starting quarterback hurt, and he can't go under center because he's completely immobile. And then they think, you know what, though? Let's tailor the offense a little bit to Bo's skills because he can run around. So let's run a little bit of zone read. Let's tinker it just a little bit to accommodate him. Oh, and by the way, we don't have all the tight ends either. Oh, and now we're on our 3rd running back by this time. And let's play Bo and let's let him get hurt. And then let's try to play coy and realize that, we'd have to completely change the offense and scrap it and run a full-on, completely different thing with him. So that maybe that's not a good option. So let's play the freshman. So now we're going to play the freshman that we really had no intention of playing whatsoever. Oh, and now we're to our 6th running back. and we still don't have the tight ends. But now the tight ends are starting to come back. So this offense had to change 5 times during the season. I don't care who the offensive coordinator was this year. Maybe a veteran, wily guy that has been through a bunch of injuries in the past squeaks out 6 wins out of this thing. But you are not going to win football games with this schedule playing your freshman redshirt quarterback that was supposed to redshirt, your number 4 tight end, in your last game of the season playing your number 7 running back.
Even 8th.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Guys, you can't do it. It's impossible. So it's not the personnel that they had to start the year because they had a plan for that personnel. It's the crazy amount of injuries and the disruption to it that I think changed things. Now,
so there was an understanding to that end.
Right? And so now, if you had a veteran guy that's been through the wars, say Norm Chow was the offensive coordinator, who's probably had a season where he had a bunch of guys get hurt, would Norm have been better equipped to say, this is what you have to do when you have this, and this is how we have to change it? Probably, right? He probably would have been more equipped.
Been through more
situations.
Through more. Yeah.
When you've gone through things, you just understand things better. It's just the way it is.
But were they going to beat LSU, Wisconsin, Mississippi State?
No one's beat Wisconsin.
Right. Mississippi State, Utah, maybe Utah.
It wasn't those games that were the issue, I think.
Right.
I think it was ECU. I think it was Fresno State.
But by the time we get to those teams,
UMass.
You've already played all those other teams, and you've added to your injury total.
Yeah.
Like, guys, I've never seen anything like it. And I've been covering college football for more than 30 years. I've never seen a team lose 20-plus people off their 2 deep and 30-plus injuries. To me, that's something that screams, what in the world is going on? Nobody loses that many players. So what are we doing? And I don't know, maybe they are doing an internal look because they have to. If they're not, then somebody better get on it. Every single injury needs to be documented. They need to find out why these guys got hurt, what the mechanism of the injury was, what that person, was he just back from a mission? Was he not back from a mission? What position did he play? They need to look for every trend they can possibly find because good programs don't lose that many kids. And is it because we're playing over our heads at the beginning of the season? We just don't have the talent and we're getting hurt because we're playing above our heads? Maybe that is the answer. I don't know that explains 30-some injuries. And so that to me is a bigger thing than anything else is I don't care who the offensive coordinator is next year. And even though I think the talent level is going to pick up next year, if we end up playing 8 running backs, 5 quarterbacks, there's a really good chance they won't be bowl eligible again next year.
Yeah, that screams, a losing record. Absolutely. Blaine, good stuff. We appreciate the time. 1 hour of Blaine Fowler coming up tonight at 7 Eastern. Thanks, Blaine.
All right, guys.